It's Stevie from Vegas.
What, Stevie? Why ruin a perfectly good show in
You said,
second one?
you said, why are my nipples so hairy? That's my question.
Yeah, that's probably
Who fired the gardener? I'm telling you, it's
You
got
know, I
the y'all
talked
got.
to several viewers and they'll like that. So,
So this is the Fantasy Fiend podcast where anything happens. As you can tell, we are honored to
Clearly.
have. Yes, clearly.
Sorry.
No sack today. No sack. That was last night on the strip. I'm your host Stevie Collier, and I'm here again with my sexy beast Andy Peliquin, and we are honored today to have Joshua Smith, who is the author of a series with a really cool name. He's about to tell you right now.
Essences of Aletheia. Just check it out. Joshua Smith, you can search for that. Immortals is book 1, Coalition book 2, and Warmonger comes out in December.
Ooh,
So
exciting. Through Aethon Books, right?
yes, through Aethon, who is absolutely amazing, as you well know.
They are awesome.
Yes.
Hey, they are really cool. We got J.R. Castle. I don't know if I'm supposed to give away his
Jamie Castle.
Jamie. That's why I couldn't find him earlier. Jamie
Jamie.
Castle and Rep Bruno. But so I hung out with them today. They're just really nice guys. We went axe throwing. They're really cool, man.
That's awesome.
I'm at 20 bucks to 50K in Vegas. It was last minute. Pulled together some cash, got a flight out here. I don't know if you've ever tried to get a last minute flight to Vegas. It's like $600. It's insane. People come here year round, apparently. So,
no,
really?
Yeah. So if you think I'm having a good time, I am. I'm just exhausted, and I haven't done like anything. Like I haven't gone to the strip. I've walked across to go get water at Walgreens and walked away. That was it. The rest has just been talking. And it's a convention filled with introverts here at 20 bucks to 50K that even they have in the schedule, they have 2 recharges a day so they can go back to the room and relax to recharge for the rest of the day. So, and it's crazy. As an extrovert, I needed that recharge. So
that says something.
Yeah, it's a lot, man. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Joshua.
Yeah. I am a father of 3, and
you look so young.
I know. Tell me about it. I was surprised too. I was like, "Wait, how did this happen?" Okay,
how old are you?
I'm 28. No, all right, 35.
Oh, I actually believe the 28 part. I was like, man, you started young.
Damn it! I should have kept it at that.
Yeah.
Can I cuss on this?
Oh,
absolutely.
No, it's Christian, Catholic, Muslim. Why was I going to say Arabic?
Yeah, Stevie, just stop. You're welcome to cuss, Joshua.
Satanic.
Okay, I'm going to have a talk with the guys at Aethon and be like, what did you put me on?
Oh, was it Aethon that pushed you over here?
Yeah, Rhett asked if we can have him on because the Coalition's releasing sort of around now, right?
Coalition's already out. So I'm pretty excited about that. Can I how much can I say?
Tell us.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay. So, Essences of Aletheia follows a group of people who are trying to stop another cataclysm that changes their world from ending. And the sorceress Justina, who's an immortal, and she's been obviously around for a while. In fact, she was the one who was involved with the first ending of the world. So this isn't it happened before, and a cosmic cycle, magical cycle started it. So Immortals covers a key player that they're trying to remove from her domain, and it gets complicated as the series goes on. In Coalition, we've got our players on the run, but one of them is a secret agent who returns to his kingdom to take on a major organization called the Slaver Coalition, and that's where we go from there. So
cool.
and this is a fantasy.
Epic fantasy.
Nice. Well, you said secret agent. I was just making sure.
I know. Okay. I like to blend things a little bit. Sometimes,
I love that too. I really do. Bizarre Blades was a risk. Andy and I both knew it was a risk. I think for the next time I pull and re-release, which is like a year or two, I'm gonna change the name. But I wanted it to be first Bizarre Blades, which was a mixture of themes like I got a negative review because I made a dodgeball reference from the movie, and it was part of the training. It was like you got to dip, dodge, duck, whatever, and dodge. I did that, and like I got a 1-star, but it made my girlfriend laugh until she had tears in her eyes, so I kept it.
Oh.
I laughed too, Stevie.
Thank you, thank you. It is real quick, and then Joshua, it's your show, man. I know, but I don't come to Vegas often because I'm slowly turning into Andy Peliquin as an introvert. I like to hide in my
Let's find
little
out what
cave
that
with
looks
my
like.
swords.
You know, I'm
Well,
actually an extrovert. I did
That's right. That's
I
right.
did the test, yeah, and I'm an extrovert, which is super weird.
We learned that together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, see,
And
this is
yeah.
good.
What was I saying?
You're an
Vegas.
extrovert. Vegas.
Oh
Introvert
crap!
in Vegas.
I totally lost train of. Oh, so you guys know I'm not really shy, Joshua. You probably realize that by now.
No.
So this Star Wars fan, Richard Fox, came up to me because he saw my Star Wars shirt and he told me how much he hated the last movies. I understand. And we were talking. He's like, "Dude, the Mandalorian is awesome." I was like, "Don't you give me any spoilers, man. I know you were in the army, but I'll learn something to attack you with." He was like, "Over there is Rebecca Moek and Kevin J. Anderson, both authors of Star Wars books that I've read, and I could not get the nerve to go talk to them." I was telling Lisa, my girlfriend, it's the first time I've been starstruck enough where I didn't go say hi. So I sat behind him
Mm.
and I didn't say anything. You know, I'm kicking myself because I had a piece of paper. What could I have your autograph? You know, didn't get it. But they cornered me because Richard brought him to me, and I was like, "Yeah, I like Star Wars. Yeah, I wrote a book." You know, totally lost my confidence. Forgot to get an autograph. Just been kicking myself. So really, really cool. Just that made it worth it. And Andy and I are talking about next year. If you do want to come to Vegas, I think Andy's going to come to 20 Books 50K, and we're going to try and do something.
Hey.
Hopefully, yeah, have a little party or something, a little pizza party.
Pizza party.
Yeah, you know, blow a few lines. Is that what you say? I don't know.
Do a few lines.
Do it, not blow. Pretty sure people will be mad if I go.
Yeah, exactly. The biggest waste of money ever.
Unless you're rich, then you can just kind of frolic through the cloud.
I'm good
Anyway,
with that.
so that was my fun little
Not
story.
rich.
So Joshua, pretty cool stuff. What we do at the beginning of our podcast, Joshua, is we talk about something cool that happened to us within a couple weeks, something in the recent past. You talked about your book, but you got to find something else. So Andy always has good news. I usually have weird news, but I have good news.
Okay.
Last week's was Andy is with Andy. I'm so afraid to say anything about your life.
No, yeah. Last week was the official reveal
of Athon Books,
Yeah.
and after meeting with, almost said his real name, Jamie Castle and Rhett Bruno, dude, you made the right decision. You guys are good. They have really good connections to some really good voiceover actors. And
my God,
Joshua, you missed Andy's book cover reveal, dude.
I watched the episode, so I did not.
I forgot
So
he's still live.
I fucking loved it. Okay.
Yeah, it's great.
The paraplegic assassin in a suit hanging from a cliff. Yes, all about that. Looks like he's shooting down ships. Thank you. I'm sold.
Yeah,
He did watch it. So, Andy, do you have anything cool this week? Anything new?
You know, I'm trying to think. I feel like since last week, basically, I've just done a lot more writing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I turned in the final edited version. Like I got the notes back from the Athon editor, and I did all the edits on Monday and turned it in, and they were accepted first try essentially.
Sweet.
And so I think the book is going through the final editing stage and going to be heading off to the voice actor to start recording it to have it ready in audiobook to release audiobook and ebook at the same time early next year.
Dang, man, that's awesome. Wow, audiobook 2 at the beginning of the year.
Yep.
Nice. Good news for me is there's so much to talk about. I'll just do like a cliff notes of it. Might be changing the name of I Am Mech. Being with Jonathan Yanez, I've learned a lot. I think Andy already knew all this stuff, but I just had some catching up to do. Jin, his wife, did some awesome like looking for keywords and stuff, and we're trying to come up with like different things. But I loved I Am Mech, but I'm trying to become even more businessy with this business, which is funny because I started really business heavy and then I went full art, I feel like, with the Bazaar Blades because it's like I want passion project out. So that's cool news. Of course, I'm in Vegas. I've met a lot of cool people on the podcast. We are bringing on Richard Fox, Chris Fox, Scott something. I forgot his last name. I just know him as Scott. And a guy from Greece who speaks French and Greek and English. Super cool. I want him on the podcast. A lot of really big sci-fi authors that are not only good authors, but they're really cool people. So it's going to be for some really good shows for the Fantasy Fiends podcast. Also, good news. This is also Andy's good news. Is the Fantasy Fiends podcast is growing, and again, we really appreciate it. So that is my good news, and I am writing a short story that everyone here on the Fantasy Fiends podcast watching is definitely going to get a copy of. Andy, we should really start selling our stuff more. Like, we never do that. We never like go buy our books. Have we even done that one time?
I'm sure we have. I mean, we've done special episodes for the releases of our books and
that's right.
Things like that. But if you want, Steve, you can just tell everybody every episode, just buy our books. Like, you can do that.
Buy our fucking books. We don't do this for free. In fact, we hate you people. No. But funny thing, I was like, because I'm writing a clean series for Jonathan. I was like, I gotta get some prostitutes out of me. Well, that sounded wrong, but
it absolutely did.
Get away from me! No. So the main character wakes up with 2 prostitutes in his bed, escorts, and they're alien. Turns out one is male and female, which he learned last night, and he kept going with it apparently. And now it's the space pimp named Two-A who wants his money. And funny thing about Two-A, that's to kill in French, by the way. So yeah, it's gonna be really fun. He's jumping out of a window right now, so I'm back in it with my humor. So that is my good news. Joshua, did you come up with anything? You having a 4th kid?
No, that's not happening.
I'm putting out vibes for that.
Yeah, no.
sorry, I take him back.
I adore my children, but I'm stopping at 3.
That's a odd number though, dude. You need to go. What is even?
4.
Math.
4, dummy.
You need to go 4. If that, you could either go 4 or 2.
Why don't you try to go 3 and then we'll ask me again? So,
and Joshua is not 25 like he looks.
I know. God,
35, right?
It's 30. Well, yeah, 35. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go with 35. It's insane, man.
Thank you. So I came up with another science fiction idea for a series, so I'm really loving it. I don't know how much I should talk about it or not. I wrote a short story as kind of like a basis to move forward. I kind of like to do that, and
it's a good idea.
It's my favorite of the 3 that I'm working on right now.
Nice.
So yeah. So I am going to be taking a break from fantasy and working on science fiction for a while.
So how many books in fantasy do you have?
3, and I'm in the middle of book 4, and I just was like, this is the best time for it. Let's just take a minute and we'll come back to book 4 and we're gonna rock it because this is gonna be a 6-book saga. And being epic fantasy, it's long, it's Wheel of Time like, and a lot of parts.
Oh, is it really?
Well, a lot of people have compared it to that, so I'm using other people's words.
That's a compliment.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I thought too.
It's a compliment. People like long books. It's actually why fantasy is hard to sell.
Here's a question from somebody.
This one's for me. Sorry, I accidentally clicked on it. But yes, Rebecca, I do.
She has a point.
I need to get some kind of gun. I was thinking of getting like some like airsoft guns, one of the ones that look really cool, and like painting it or something to where it looks really legit, like a sniper rifle or something like that.
I was thinking Han Solo's blaster.
I was thinking the same. Joshua, you're a cool dude, man. We're on that same vibe right now. We're on that same frequency.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. So
Go ahead, man.
I don't know that. I'm sorry, I got lost in Han
We
Solo's.
were talking about sacrificing
blaster.
your third child so you can have an even number of children.
Were we? Were we? I think
I
that's
should
in
be a-
your fantasy novel. But actually, that's hilarious because in Immortals, one of my main characters, she starts out as a priestess, sacrificing people for the sorceress. That's her job, and she fucking hates it. And she tries to commit suicide at chapter 1.
I thought you were going to say, you know what? You say that. Me and my wife have been talking about this. Sounds like, oh my God. Andy called the police. No, that's cool though. It's really cool. So something I've kind of been interested in, something I've learned at this conference is people have really interesting backstories. So before we get into the topic, why don't you tell us a little bit about before you became a writer, just a little bit about you. You know what I mean?
Sure. So I don't know how many people have seen me on other podcasts or have read my stories, but it's incomplete. Here we go.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a twist here coming.
Cool.
So most people know that I actually have Parkinson's syndrome and epilepsy.
Really?
I didn't always have it. I was a teacher teaching 4th grade language arts, got 2 viruses that crossed over into the brainstem and brain, because that's just awesome because viruses love to wreak havoc on everything. So started having over 10 seizures a day, was bedridden for like a year and a half or a chair or whatever.
You're kidding.
No, it was fucking insane. I hated it. So to be real, like
yeah.
And so I had a blind family member who came to visit me one day, and I was telling him how I was feeling, what I was experiencing, and he said, "Joshua, everybody's going to define you by your disability. So what are you going to do about it?" And that's when I decided that I had this fantasy series in my back pocket, and I wanted to do that. And I also have a post-apocalyptic series I'm eventually going to get to. Yes,
there is money in that.
There is.
I learned that at the conference. There is money right there. Everyone who wants to write a post-apocalyptic, don't do it. Don't saturate it right now.
Please.
So go write it. Go write it.
Please. I'm working on it. I need to do some research.
I hear they're difficult. Yeah, like you said, you got to do research. I feel like I would mess it up.
Yeah, I want to write the military well. I never served, and I feel like it would be wrong of me to jump in if I haven't sat down and been like, okay, dude, tell me, or lady, tell me what you have gone through. Like, give me this experience full on, and I've got ideas for various characters and how this all ties in. And I don't want to keep it on Earth. I think it's I think,
interesting. Yeah.
I think we should take it to space.
Where are you in your Parkinson's right now?
Well, it has been 6 years.
So this is back.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a journey. I started walking a year ago, really.
Jeez.
Yeah. So again, well, I was doing some walking before that. But it looks like this: bed, wheelchair, walker, cane, being able to drive. And I went seizure free from February until September. September, I had 3 seizures one day, went to the hospital. And so now I'm back waiting for them to just say, hey, you haven't had a seizure in 2 months. And at the end of 90 days, then I can have my life back and I can start driving.
Oh, so you can't drive right now?
Yeah, that's legal shit. So
interesting. Okay.
That's how it goes.
Weird question. This blind family member that you said, are they legally blind or are they like truly like
legally blind?
Okay.
Truly blind. And we were out picking blueberries one time, and
that's interesting.
It was a crazy story, and the sun hit his eyes in such a way that it silhouetted me, and he could tell the type of color of what I was wearing. And it was this amazing experience for both of us, where
What?
for this like 30 seconds you could see me, maybe less than that, and it was really cool. It was really
That sounds
cool.
like a mini miracle.
Yeah, kind of felt that way. So he was right. I ended up connecting with Nicholas Sansbury Smith, who is also at the same conference, chilling with all of you awesome people.
I should have said hi. I wish I would have. There's 1,500 people here.
It's
I've
just a
probably
few.
talked to half because they come up to me and like, Fantasy Fiends podcast. I'm like, yeah. They're like, you just like
Seriously?
him. I'm not
People
joking,
recognize
dude.
us?
Multiple times.
That's
Multiple
awesome.
times. And
That
you know
is-
what they always say? Where's Andy? And I'm like, he's at home with his 7-foot doors so he can walk through without bending over. And you would see me strapped to his chest if he were here, rubbing my head.
So Andy, when they make a movie of my series, you'll get to be the glimpse. Okay.
What do I get to be? The
I don't know.
trash
I don't.
can?
God, do I have trash cans in my series? I guess I do.
I'll be the no, because I'm shorter than Andy. I feel like I would be the R2D2 of the group.
That might work.
Um,
We have goblins. They're short too.
Yeah, I've got the nose for it. I mean,
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
well,
So-
dude, thank you for sharing your story, and I know you have an excellent topic for us today. We are talking about how we do lines and we don't blow lines. We don't blow anything. Well, you can if you want. I'm going to shut up.
Yes,
Joshua, what is the topic today? Andy, what is the topic today?
The topic is surviving life. I mean, it's a pretty good example of
Yeah.
I mean, life threw all these weird curveballs at you, and yet here you are. Like
Yes.
it's amazing what people can survive. I think it's from Aladdin 2, where Jafar is torturing the genie, or he's torturing Aladdin or someone, and he's like, I can't kill people, but you'd be amazed how much people can survive. Like how close to death you can actually get someone and they'll still survive. It's always really fascinating. Right. And of course, that's super dramatized, but it's kind of a great point. It's like, there is so much shit life can throw at you, but if you've got the right support system, if you've got the right mentality, if you've got the right people, you can make it where you can survive anything.
Yeah. And life can get complicated. So I definitely had some right people who helped me through the worst of the seizures, the Parkinson's, the doctors not being able to diagnose what the fuck was going on with me.
Wow.
So my wife, Sarah, helped pick me up off the floor multiple times. It was really terrible. And you just, my family member, the blind one, again, here's the thing. I asked him one day, I said, I fall. What do I do? I fall. There's no one around. Nobody can hear me. I can't shout for help. My face is planted face first into the carpet. What do I do? And he said, crawl, soldier. And
oh my God. That gave me chills.
Yeah. And so, because the only thing that I could use was my right arm. And so, 99% of the time. And so I would learn to crawl using only my right arm to get me to a safe place. And it was insane. So I have some mad respect for people who have gone through terrible things. Wounded warriors, for example. These men and women who've put their lives on the line for our country, like, mad respect for them, and what they've given to us.
That's great because it was just Veterans Day.
I know, right? Happy Veterans Day, people.
Yeah.
You're amazing.
Well, dude, it sounds like you should just talk the whole podcast. I mean,
I didn't even get to my twist. Did you want me to say the twist? You guys know it.
That wasn't
do
the
the
twist.
twist.
What's
Do
the twist?
the twist.
Okay, the twist. All right. Now, all right. The twist is that here we go. All right, everybody ready for this? Is that recently I've decided to talk about my time in conversion therapy and spent years in it, and it fucked my head up. And so I've spent the last 2 years undoing a lot of that, and it has been a very enlightening and very painful experience for all of us. Um, so, and yeah, so conversion ther-
Conversion therapy.
conversion therapy.
Am I thinking right?
Well, you probably are not as the
Is that
torture
the email
aspect.
you sent?
Yeah, yeah, I sent it in the email.
Oh,
I didn't know if
okay,
you guys know
okay.
what was going on. The conversion therapy, what it is at least from my experience, is you've got people coming from a spiritual aspect who believe that your sexuality can be rewritten, redetermined, reevaluated through the love of a deity. Specifically, from my experience through Jesus, and um, well, I do know people who have told me, and I respect them enough to want to believe them, that they have felt like it has helped them, and that they are living happy lives with their family. And I really respect them. I love them. And so I'm going to believe them, okay, for them. But I also know what it did to me, and I know what it's doing to my family. Uh, and so I know that a lot of these people, unfortunately, that I'm getting to with as I'm leaving, and have been very vocal about coming out for a second time, um, they're not entirely awesome, and in terms of welcoming. And while I respect and love them and their choices that they've made and the choices that seem to they're succeeding in, I'd like to see some of that reciprocation. And I would like to see that across the spectrum of LGBTQIA people, who I think read an NBC article recently that tens of thousands of people are going to be going through that just next year alone. And I mean, if that's not fucked up, then I can't tell you what is. So I
You
want
said
to.
a second time.
I did.
If you don't mind rewinding, so your wife knew that I'm guessing you're homosexual. Is that right?
I'm gay. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So your wife
Sorry,
knew.
Athon. I love you guys. Crap. Here we go.
I think Athon will be fine.
They will
There's
be. They're
some cool
awesome.
guys.
Jamie and Rhett are really awesome. So
Yeah, they're both really open-minded. They're hilarious together. I'll tell you that. It's like two brothers. It's funny. So
I got that.
Your wife knew.
Uh, I'm gonna be careful about how much I say, but yeah,
Yeah, you say what you want to say, man. It's no big deal.
yeah, she definitely knew. Thank you, random chick on the internet named Rebecca.
She's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cheers.
I will say this, Joshua, as someone who was raised in a very, very weirdly religious cult with experiences with people who sort of not, so it wasn't the sort of conversion therapy that you went through, but a variation on it. Not myself personally, but knowing people who underwent it, I get it. I know what it's like to be in that environment, to be around that kind of people. And I feel your pain, man.
Thank you. Thanks, Andy. I'm sorry to hear that you went through something like that.
So much of my past is positive.
Yeah.
That I find that a lot of the positive outweighs the negative, or it's helped me to sort of put it into balance. But everything, there's got some stuff to it. But I think, it's what makes us who we are. It's what makes, gives us the depth that we have. I'm not saying that I'm a super deep person, but what depth I have, a lot of it stems from that. And it's helped me to write stories. And I'm sure it's done the same thing for you. It's given you a much greater appreciation for who you are as a person, for who this kind of person is as a person, and all the other people in between.
Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely felt like, with a main character that I introduced in Coalition, where he's going through his own conversion therapy for that world, and I'm looking forward to exploring that in future books. So, and how that looks. So there's some twists.
That's gotta be
Yeah,
that's gotta be
man.
really fascinating.
Yeah.
When you can draw those kind of parallels
Mm.
between, you know, the kind of things that happen in real life and then paint it in a different way,
Yes,
but it's absolutely real nonetheless.
absolutely. Absolutely.
I read in a book once. I forgot it was a craft book. So I read a lot at the beginning, and it said if you read carefully, the writing of the authors is an open book to their brain, because writing is all we know.
Right.
It's created from the stimuli of our day to day lives. And I was talking to a taxi driver today, and because I was wearing the little thing that says, "Oh, big author boy, a star. I'm a big star." They asked me how many books I wrote, and I said 9. He goes, "How do you come up with all those ideas?" And I'd never been asked that before. And I was like, and then he actually told me the answer. He's like, "Is it just you're in different worlds all day?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm delusional most of the time, you know." You know, someone walks into a convenience store, their head pops, and 3 alien things come out. You know, it's just anything. And then not,
You
and that's
saw
the
that
same
too?
case. Yeah, man, it was you.
Oh
But I
man.
wanted to say, when you came onto the podcast
Yeah.
before the show started, you seemed like you were glowing.
Oh,
So
thanks. Yeah,
it's something I noticed. I knew we were gonna get along right away. So
sweet.
yeah, look at you just chilling in the back, like, yeah,
Here we got
You know,
a couple of comments from the
okay.
viewers. This is a good one.
yeah.
Hey, Ben.
Oh,
And
Vin, I love how you start this off. Thank you, LGBTQIA plus. Thank you. Love you already. Okay, keep
there's so
going.
many here in Canada. There's also two, which is from Two Spirit, which is a First Nations thing where people are born with both male and female spirits
Mhm.
inside them.
Really?
So they are neither, but it's a very spiritual thing
Love
that only exists here in Canada with the First Nations thing. And now
That's so fascinating.
I know I really liked that because it instead of it being the more carnal thing, you know, instead of it just being
Right.
something like desire or sexuality, it sort of switched it a little bit more to the spiritual, relating the spiritual and sexuality in a way that I find very interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't done a whole lot of research into it, but just the fact that it's there, I find it that's kind of cool.
And let me push back just a little bit on the carnal because, you know, a lot of us aren't out there doing, you know, whatever it is that a lot of people want to assume that we're doing.
By carnal, I just mean men and women and women, you know, all the other variations as well. Just the physicality of it all.
Yes.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. And you know, for me, I am getting to really enjoy my interactions with our non-binary, the intersex, of course, the trans. I've got a really good friend who's a trans brother of mine, and also ace people. Like, I mean, these people are amazing. Asexual, yeah,
Oh,
and grayscale. Like, I mean, stuff is.
I
Yeah.
know this isn't the podcast for that, but
Here,
could you explain those just like in a sentence? And then the plus, I didn't get the plus either. I'm ignorant, so
that's okay. That's okay.
I'm interested and open-minded.
Here's basically it. Obviously, you know, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, LGBT, queer,
And questioning.
What's the
queer and
difference
questioning. Queer.
What is queer?
Queer just covers everybody. Okay.
Oh,
So,
okay. Oh, okay.
So essentially I could say that I'm queer. Okay. You know, it's easier. We've kind of taken that term back over the years, and
Which is
that's
good because in
happened all the time.
Texas, it's not nice. In Texas, I've only heard it as a nice thing, so I would be definitely afraid to call anyone that.
Yeah, let the person call themselves that. You know,
That's
and
a good
if you're
one.
afraid,
That's good.
if you're afraid of what to call people, I mean, I could ask you guys right now, what are your pronouns? You know, and that would be in
It
the
wouldn't bother me.
LGBTQIA proper. That would be amazing. So, Andy, Steve, what are your pronouns?
He and him. It's cisgender, hetero, something.
Wait, there's a word for what?
Cisgender. It means that you are the same gender as your birth.
Yeah.
So,
So
I'm cis. I would say he and him.
Yes, I am too. But I also have.
Really?
Oh yeah, that's complicated. But I also have a. I know. Thank you so much. And like
That's really interesting.
yeah. So, but for some non-binary people, they may go with they them pronouns. You know,
Zen? I
they
saw.
them.
Is that what it is?
Z,
Zen?
Zer, Zim.
I saw those at a conference, a paleontology conference. I was like, "What?" It either started with a Z or an X, and I can't remember.
I've
I
heard of
think
those. I haven't met anybody that uses
Yeah.
those yet. So
So what was the plus?
the plus can include a lot of other things. So um,
Asexual and pansexual. I'm confused about
opposites.
opposites.
So
Andy, you're doing really
I-
well.
I
Keep
actually
going.
did research into pansexuality for a very, very specific character in my sci-fi series that I wanted to get right. So pansexuality, a lot of people classify it as a sub variation of bisexuality, but it's not quite the same because so bisexuals are attracted to both male and female, and then of course there can be non gender non-specific, as Rebecca said. Thank you for that. But pansexuals, it's not about the gender of the person, it is about the person themselves. So I was talking to this person and I was like, okay, so now if this character that I'm writing is someone who's interested in broad shoulders, for example, it won't matter if it's a guy with broad shoulders or a girl with broad shoulders or a gender non-specific person with broad shoulders. It is simply the thing that they find attractive. And this is like super reductionist, boiling it down to a physical aspect, but that sort of helped me to quantify it in a way that I can understand. So if the person likes, if a pansexual person is attracted to honesty, gender won't matter. If they're attracted to aggressiveness, gender
Can it
won't
be
matter.
objects, like actual tangible objects? Like I don't want to be rude or anything, but what? You don't know that?
I actually don't know the answer to that. I could try to ask around, but I
I
won't
saw
be
an
in
American.
time for the podcast.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this is really interesting. What was asexual?
Asexual, like I'm getting to know this because I have a friend who identifies as ace. And so uh so what she said is that she doesn't feel romantic feelings. So
Interesting.
yeah. So
It's fascinating.
they can have an amazing time doing whatever and there's nothing romantic about it. And so it just is. And it's gonna take a lot for romantic feelings to come on. Period.
Wow. Okay. That
Yeah, no pressure. A lot
is it
going on here.
is
Humanity
that
is diverse.
wow. And I have a question going back to your Parkinson's. Was
Mhm.
it medicine? Was it mind? What helped you come over it and get to the point where you are now, where you're having less and less issues with it? I think
All of the above.
all of the
It
above.
yeah, definitely medicine, definitely mind. Started practicing meditation. I um uh, the same brother-in-law, you would believe it, the blind guy. He's amazing in certain things, and so that's where I started picking up a little medieval martial arts from him and another family member.
Cool.
Yeah. So
Andy's like, uh
yeah, right.
oh.
When he took down the hand and a half sword last
Mm.
last episode, I was like, I know what that is.
Yeah.
And I want it. So and so he would just do some things to help me gain strength in my fingers. We had to start off because my muscles were atrophied. So mind, body, there was a medical device called the neural stem. They put it over my ear, put it into my skin, and would shoot electricity in there, trigger endorphins, which would help mask the pain. And that's how we were able to start identifying, hey, this is a seizure. It's happening underneath the brain, so the tests aren't picking it up. Here is what we now do to kind of address it. And nice hair. And
Oh, thank you.
and so we go from there. With the mind, it's got to be, it's a battle. You got to put yourself into positive places. You got to make sure your diet is okay. A nurse was commenting on this at a speech, a series of speeches that I was a participant in, where he said that diet is something that would prevent a lot of illnesses from occurring if we just tried to change our diet a little bit. So today I've not exactly been incredibly amazing at the diet, but eating more vegetables, more fruits, cutting down starches and carbs, so just trying to balance things. So that's good.
Dude, you were like the perfect guest for this topic.
You're
As I
welcome.
love it,
Thank you.
and it's cool that we get to see the not the conclusion,
No.
but the aftermath of all of these struggles that you went
Yes.
through. And dude, you just seemed like such a strong person. I'm inspired. Actually, I have a character with a strong personality. Now I want to go right. I'll see you guys later. Have a
Hey.
good one.
Oh. 15 minutes or something like that, right?
Yeah, we've still got 18 minutes,
No, no.
Stevie.
With you guys,
I love it though.
dang.
Tired.
Yeah. So now Andy, you were talking about the cult. A lot of people know you're in the cult, but now a lot of people don't know you're in a cult. Talk about struggles. You want to go into that a little bit real quick?
Please do.
Because we do have a lot of new
not
viewers.
currently in the cult.
Did I say you were in a cult?
Yeah.
He's the leader now, guys.
Yeah. No, so I was born
Oh.
into one. I was in it until I was in my early 20s. When I got married and had a family and realized that I couldn't support myself the ways that were available while in the cult. So I kind of just sort of gradually transitioned out without any real conscious uncoupling, as it were, mainly because I was just working and doing a typical job, and I was spending less and less time engaged in those kind of activities until it was more like, all right, so that's it. I'm not really there anymore. I'm not participating in anything. And then, of course, as I was exposed to more and more of the world, I came to understand what I had been missing out on and where I had been limited in my views and my perspectives and my understanding of the world. And I think as part of the growth process, I kind of pulled back from it, did sort of have a conscious rejection of it, just because it's like, all right, so I've believed this blindly for so long. Now I'm going to consciously go against it and then figure out what I actually believe and where I stand. So there was sort of this shift from this gradual transition to I'm going very not anti-religion like atheist, but sort of irreligious in the sense of agnostic or indifferent to, sort of midway between those two. And over the course of the last 5 years or so, I've sort of begun swinging back in the other direction in terms of religion and belief systems. I still, identify as irreligious, but it's easy for me to understand how people find a belief system so important for them. And there's so much about belief systems in the various religions that exist in the world, both in the real world and in the fantasy and sci-fi worlds we create, that have a lot of value. So I can understand that. I can put value on those things, and it's easy for me to relate to them. But for me personally, it's not an important part of my life. And so that's sort of one of the ways that I've sort of swung the other way after the experience that I had. And so much, like I said, so much of my childhood was so positive, mainly because I didn't know any better. Like I was schooled alongside 15, 20, 30 other foreigner kids living in Japan, and I got to play sports every single day for 2 hours, and I got an education. I mean, I stopped at high school because that's all I had the time for in my in the life that I was living, but I got a good education, at least up until that. And I got a lot of experiences traveling around all of Japan, moving to Mexico, living there for 16 years. So many experiences that people would never have had. So there's a lot that I'm very, very grateful for that from that upbringing. But there's a lot where I look back and I'm like, holy shit, did I really actually believe that? One of the most interesting things, I would say, one of the most interesting takeaways from this was, so in the group, we would have to, like, the official wake up time for everybody was kind of around the same time, 7:30. We'd all meet and have, the usual prayer meetings, devotional kind of things. But it was encouraged for us to get up even earlier and do some on our own, the sort of private prayer and that kind of stuff. So I would get up at 6 o'clock every day. I was up at 6 before everybody else was awake, and I was, engaged in that kind of devotional activities. And so my brain is used to sort of switching on earlier. So now I get up at 6 o'clock every day. I'm sitting at my desk writing by 7, but that's a habit that I formed during this thing. And it just happens to work really, really well for what I do now. And another thing was, there was this belief that we could hear directly and receive prophecy from God, from Jesus, from the various, spiritual entities. So that was something that I would actually do on a daily basis. I would sit down and, sort of a combination of meditation and, music, whatever it took to sort of write these messages that we received. And now from the other side of things, I look at it and I was like, oh, great. I was practicing to be a writer. Because it's sort of the same thing, then it was believed that it was a spiritual thing, but I could see how, like these prophecies, these messages that we received were like when we had real problems or questions, things that we weren't sure how to understand or comprehend, or we were grappling with an issue, whether it was, moving cities or trying a new career within the group, whatever. We would take time to do this to get the prophecy. And now looking over the way that I write, I look at my approach to writing the characters' struggles, and I can see that reflected in it, because in my prophecies, I would sort of walk myself through the steps of solving whatever problem I was working on. Now I do the same thing with my characters. So this practice developed into something that makes me who I am today. So there's a lot of that sort of thing that I've taken away from my time in the group that have just, absolutely shaped the person that I am now, both the writer, the parent, the husband, all of that. So there's a lot of good. I'm very grateful for a lot of the experiences. Again, there's a lot of stuff that was just like, holy shit, I can't believe I did that or thought that or said that or believed that. But that's kind of the same thing with anything. People who go to business school for 5 years and then drop out because they want to become writers.
Hey, Andy.
Yes.
I know what the answer probably to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Did your cult have anything to do with Scientology? Because Lisa's
Nothing.
all that. And yeah, I figure not. Okay. I was just curious about that. But yeah, that Scientology shit is crazy.
Yeah, no, the truth is, when you step outside any of these things and you look at them with a mind that's not sort of bought into whatever they're selling or preaching or believing, it's really easy to say, okay, this is a little bit extreme. I mean, if you look at most of the cults and sects and religious, like, extreme things, it's pretty easy for someone to say, yeah, that's a little much. But for people who are inside it, who are fully bought into it, or not bought into it, because that's sort of a cynical term for it. I mean, if you look at any religion, any belief system, people wholeheartedly believe these things because it fills some need in their life. And for most people, that belief is a very constructive thing. It's something that adds to their lives. It's something that improves their lives. For other people, it can lead to destructive things. I mean, if you look at radical Islamic fundamentalism, where there's, suicide bombings, that's not a belief that I would consider, constructive or positive by any stretch of the imagination. So it really does. Sort of every belief system has its pros and has its cons. I mean, like Rebecca was saying, she got her first exposure to non-acceptance in church. Vin was lucky to get accepted, right? He struck gold with that particular church, that belief system that has, dominated the globe for centuries as what is believed to be a positive force. Someone else experienced something super negative. Joshua, from what it seems like, you had a lot of very negative experiences from this thing that brings so much positivity into other people's lives. So
exactly.
So it's all about what you do with it. I'd like to say,
Mm-hmm.
if you are a positive force for good it doesn't matter what you believe in. That's something I took away from the Chronicles of Narnia, the last book in the series. I love this because it's like I read this when I was 10 years old or something, and it's stuck with me ever since. Where there's this guy, he comes from sort of the evil nation, and he's worshipped the evil god his whole life. And he's despairing because he's not going to get into the version of heaven. And Aslan, who is the good, God says, hey, don't worry about it. All the good stuff you did in this bad god's name is on my credit. I get the credit for it. All the bad stuff good people did in my name is on the bad god's credit. So what you do is more important than who you say you're doing it for. And that's sort of the perspective that I've taken on it, is that what you put out into the world is more important than who you're putting it out into the world for.
And I'd agree with you on that, because how we live with this, I mean, it could be really easy for me to just turn around on all the people that I know are living happy lives that this worked for, and I disagree with, but it worked for them. And it could be so easy to go after them, and I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But I'm also not going to be okay with them when they come after us.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And so, you know, I never saw myself doing this, but I'm back in church. I stopped going to church altogether for a whole year. And I same coffee shop where I got this sinful caramel cider, Union Coffee. You can find it in Dallas. Check it out. All right. So
Okay,
I told
where
them to
are you
throw
right-
it. What?
Where are you right now?
I'm actually at the place where I'm staying in Dallas. So
Oh,
yeah, I
I-
was there earlier.
what's up?
I was at Union Coffee earlier.
Oh, okay.
So
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
no, it's fine. But they're tied to the Methodists, believe it or not. And so my church, for example, has been opening up home shelters when it drops below freezing. And while the city, until recently, had an ordinance where that was illegal, they would allow it to occur because they've been doing so much good. And so now the city's on board, and they're opening up overflow shelters. And so, I mean, you just have to think like, wow, you know, in August we had a hub for however you view this. Okay, I understand politics. Okay. But we opened up a hub for undocumented immigrants and asylum seekers, give them clothes, give them things that they needed, give them a free healthcare clinic, set their kids up with school items. I mean, you could see these people who have been beaten down every day. And you know, my friend and I would sit in the young adults section, and I would get my inner Jonathan Van Ness on, and I would be like, "Okay, kids, this is your time. You're about to do you. So I want you to go ahead and figure out with these clothes. You are shopping at the mall. Okay, get this on." And you know, you give the little power to these people and make it fun, and you know, all of a sudden their minds, their imaginations transport them to the mall, and they feel like their worth has been revalued. And it's all what we do with what we've been given, whether good or bad, and how we take that. Not all of it's easy, not all of it's cut and dry, but we try to pick up our pieces.
Yeah, exactly. You got to survive life somehow.
Heck yes, especially when it's on berserker
So,
mode.
Joshua, I'm sorry, man. I don't think we're gonna have time to do the reading.
That's okay. Oh, I'm
can
sorry,
everyone hear me?
everyone.
Yes.
Mhm.
Wait, why can't I hear anybody?
Can
Hello?
you hear me now?
That's
We
weird.
can
Hold on.
hear you, Stevie.
Stevie, we can hear you.
There we go. I can hear everybody.
Hey,
Andy, we don't
what's
have time to read it, right? Thank you.
No, we don't. We gotta log off.
Alas.
So what I was thinking was I could read your blurb real quick.
Sure.
How's that, Andy?
Go ahead.
The world. This is from Immortals, which is his first book of Joshua's first book of Essencers of Aletheia, right? Did I say that right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Hey.
Yeah, I like it though. It's very pretty. The world has
It
been
is.
destroyed and remolded in the image of its destroyer. For thousands of years, stories had been told of the terrible sorceress who'd given all her power to end the ancient world. But those were just stories. Now, new stars dot the sky, signs of sorceress Josina's power returning so she can finish the job. For Abana, these signs mark the end of her service to the sorceress as priestess. Commanded to sacrifice a living being in Josina's name, she can't go through with it. Abana flees into the jungle, but the wide world is much different than she knows. Further, she's being hunted by Josina's sadistic son and her monstrous creations. Nature itself seems set against her. Bedell and Raint,
Well, rant.
Raint,
It's a,
two of the Magical Affairs Commission's elite agents and powerful essencers might be her only hope. They've dedicated their lives to holding back the tide of Josina's darkness and preventing her inevitable return. But when they discover Abana on the edge of death, all missions are postponed in an effort to protect her. Might this strange, defecting priestess hold the keys to defeating the sorceress once and for all? Or will she cause two of the most remaining essencers to meet their doom for nothing? Experience the start of a fantasy epic filled with magic, war, and characters that leap off the pages. It's perfect for fans of Jeff Wheeler, Brandon Sanderson, and AC Cobble. This is also on Audible, guys, and by Athon Books.
it's amazing. Tim Gerard Reynolds is Audible. Oh
Wow.
God, my world is alive with his voice. It's gorgeous.
Yeah,
So-
he's probably, I mean, he's one of the best, but he is really one of the best in terms of his emotion. And like he's done all of Michael J. Sullivan's books, and every time it's just such an amazing experience to listen to those books.
Yeah. I love just listening to what he's done. It's incredible.
Awesome. Well, Joshua, people can find you on Amazon and Audible. Do you have any other places you'd like to send them?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook. I know I'm not really across the internet, but I've got a website that is going to eventually get renovated and back up to speed. But right now, you can find my Facebook page, or there's also my personal page. But please go to my professional page. Please. And you'll find all the latest news, updates on Aletheia, and other events or other books coming down the line.
Awesome, man. Well, before we get off, Andy, is there anything? Well, I was going to show you guys the view real quick. Let's flip it. Just flip. Let's see. There we go.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really pretty, and I'm not out there. So,
sorry, Stevie.
Yeah. No, man. It's just, I'm not into the whole party scene. But, anyways, that is it for this podcast. Andy, do we have anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Awesome. Joshua, thank you so much for being on the air with us today and telling us all about your very interesting life. And man, you're just such a strong person, and I'm rooting for you, dude. Excited to see you next time on the Fantasy Fiends podcast.
I'll be excited to be back. So
Awesome,
thank you
man.
guys.
Yeah, thank you, Joshua. Well, that is it for this week's Fantasy Fiends podcast. This is Stevie Collier live from Vegas. Gonna go to sleep. I'm exhausted. Andy, good seeing you again. Joshua, pleasant meeting you, man. And we love you all. We hope you have a great night. We'll see you next week.
Cheers.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.